I'm like the Forrest Gump of the marketing world. I'm just gonna keep on running. It's like, oh damn, we only made like 50K this month. Like this is not good.
Right.
Like we got the Trump derangement syndrome, and it might be like, oh fuck this guy.
Do Twitter ads even work though?
People have mixed feelings. Like some people, this shit doesn't work. Like, is that true though? Brands right now that are starting that 100 years from now will still be around. So it's like, how do I support them? Like with the pandemic, there was a lot of stuff flagging certain things.
What are you doing these days? Because you do like more stuff than anybody I've ever met. So like, what is your current business? What are you doing?
Yeah, I got a few things cooking. So, I still have my old site, the Copywriter, up, but I'm kind of moving away from selling stuff just to copywriters.
Okay.
I haven't only done that, but that was like a big, piece of business. But now what I'm doing is I have a new digital property called 100 Year Brand, where I'm working with e-commerce brands and kind of like operating as a fractional CMO for them. And giving them coaching and mentorship and stuff to help them scale. And then I've also been getting into Twitter ads too. So I'm starting to do a little bit of like, ads management for some clients. And because sometimes they're just like, just do it for me. So I'm like, all right, we can make that happen.
Do Twitter ads even work though? Dude, every time I've tried them, they literally don't work. So have you found the secret to making them work?
I mean, I think it's a lot of testing. There's a lot of like little nitty gritty things. Like with Facebook, you just run an ad. You just do, 18 plus, United States, wherever, let the ad run and it'll find people, which is awesome. I love Facebook. The algorithm's awesome. Twitter's definitely a lot more nuanced in terms of like the targeting that you use, the types of creative that you use, types of campaigns. And there's all these different settings too, in terms of like playing with the frequency, playing with like bidding structures and things. So like, it's definitely a little bit more. Does it work? Yeah. I mean, there's brands out there like Hexclad is one. They're like a multiple 9-figure brand. They do the, the pans. And
oh yeah, I got one.
I see it.
Yeah.
Like their CMO was tweeting the other day how like they actually have slightly lower costs compared to Facebook, and they have ads I see in my feed that are like 50 million impressions. So like, granted, they're not spending as much, right? But I see brands all the time. A lot of times I'll see ads over and over again, hundreds of thousands of impressions. Some of these are popular brands you've heard of, and then some are ones that you've never heard of. So I still think it's the Wild West a little bit, and I think the platform is going to continue to improve. But I think that there's something there. And I think that, people have mixed feelings. Like some people, this shit doesn't work. And I'm like, okay. Like, is that true though? Like maybe just like, that's like Facebook ads don't work. It's like, okay, maybe you ran a couple ads and you didn't have things dialed in or what, like there's any number of, how it is. There's any number of factors that go into any ad campaign. Like, is the product good? Is the targeting right? Is the offer solid? Is the creative good? Are the parameters set correctly? So when people just say like, oh, it doesn't work, I'm like, well, then no one would be advertising there. You know what I mean? And like Elon Musk just told all these advertisers to go fuck themselves. And then they came crawling back like Netflix, So it's like, why would they do that? Why would they do that if it didn't work? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just meant it didn't work as in I couldn't even get it to put. This is a year ago. Actually, this was right before. It's probably right before Elon took over. So that's probably more than a year ago. I just remember trying to use them, and I was like, it wouldn't even let me put my credit card number in. I was like, how does this ad platform work? Like, it doesn't even make sense. But I'm guessing that they've made a lot of improvements.
Yeah, you got to put that in first before you run the campaign. It's there are definitely some wonky things. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But like my thing is like no one's really like talking about it. So I look at this like very much like the Warren Buffett philosophy of like what's the thing that no one's talking about, and like what's undervalued right now. And I think that's Twitter ads. So I've been experimenting a little bit here and there. I mean, I'm running an ad right now, and I've spent about $150 the last 2 days, and have already gotten 4 client leads. Dang. So it's like, I don't know. Oh, it doesn't work though. Like. I don't know, maybe it does, like maybe a little bit, right? Maybe if you know what you're doing, but I think that could be said of everything,
Yeah.
So people say email don't work. I'm like, yes, it does.
Why are you focusing on e-com brands now? Like what's because you've been working with e-com brands forever as a copywriter, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've worked with all kinds. I've worked with courses and digital stuff too, and some software companies. I just signed another software client too.
Nice.
I like physical products, I like stuff you can tangibly hold in your hand. And I just think like back to like classic ads that you see, like a lot of timeless, long lasting brands. Like there's not a lot of like timeless, like software, I mean, people don't feel the same way about like software Courses, yeah, I guess maybe to a certain extent, right? Like, oh, I took this course and changed my life, but like
Yeah.
something that occupies physical space, like it's a different kind of like, I don't know, like tangible experience, and I don't know. I just like it. And honestly, sometimes they're a little bit easier in certain contexts. Like sometimes with courses, like you really got to work your ass off to like dimensionalize and explain and storytell.
Sure.
And like we still do that stuff with physical products, but people are like, oh, cool. A water bottle. I get what it is, right? Where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I got to sell this $2,000 course. Like, how do I, it just takes a lot of like, just a lot of like copy development, I guess.
Yeah.
But when you take that copy development process, that does take a lot of work, and you apply it to physical products, oftentimes the results are even more exponential, which is cool.
Yeah. I think what's been interesting to watch what you've done, because obviously, like for people that are watching, like you did the Facebook side hustle course for me, you did our original bookkeeping launch. And I do feel like it is hard to sell info products. And I think it's just gotten harder over the years to do it. And I think that the biggest key, at least my philosophy on it right now, is the biggest key is like you have to have a really strong brand with a lot of trust, and kind of almost like a personal brand. I think helps a lot because it just makes it, if people trust you, they're like, okay, I'm more willing to buy an info product. But like ecom, it's like, who's sell, like there's so many different products, right? Like I see a ton of different products all the time. And like, is trust a factor at all when you're selling e-commerce products, or is it just straight up like the usefulness of the product and, finding the right fit? Like how does it work compared to an info product?
Yeah, I mean, it's so there's a lot of ways to like get to that the trust piece of the equation, right? And like Gary Bensavenga, one of the greatest living copywriters, he talks about it's not the size of the promise, it's the size of the proof. And that's why I think like the personal brands you're referencing, like they have so much proof. If you go to someone's YouTube channel and they have 100 videos and they've been in all these media publications and they have 50,000 Twitter followers and 150,000 on Instagram, and you see all their reels every day and you see all their like there's just so much proof that overwhelms you. Like, okay, this is the person, I'm going to buy their stuff. Like it's easy. Like it's very hard. Like if you're an unknown to just sell, like without having to sell an info product to like an audience when you're an unknown without a face on the product, it's very difficult. You could do it. I mean, there's like, I guess like Morning Brew is an example of that. I mean, that's really selling ad space. It's a little bit different, but like there's certain like the Agoras sometimes, but even then they'll attach like the financial newsletters. They'll attach like an expert stock picker, or an expert analyst to be the face, because it's about the proof. With e-commerce, there's different ways to get the proof. Like it's the product demonstration is the big thing. Like demonstration is the most powerful form of proof. Like if you demonstrate the product, it's like when you see, like what was the brand? Like I forget, was it Cutco or whatever? Like the knives, and like they're cutting through a shoe, and they're cutting through a pineapple. Because the knife is so sharp. It's like, well, it's sharp. I could see it. Like visually, like okay, objection handled. Like that's the thing I want. So like it's a little bit easier to bridge that gap sometimes with a physical product if you can demonstrate it that way. So, but really, like even with courses though, it's all a demonstration. Like when you share a testimonial, that is a form of a demonstration. So the more that you demonstrate the effectiveness of your product and not just tell people it's awesome, but show them that it's awesome, that's what makes selling easy.
Yeah.
And like even going back to Facebook side hustle, like that was one big demonstration. That was overcoming all the objections and like demonstrating like why this will actually work and why it does work.
Yeah. I'm curious about, I've always wondered this about you, and maybe we've talked about this before. I don't know if we have though. So like one of the things that we share in common, like we were both teachers, right? And we both went into marketing, which I think is kind of interesting. Like, why did you leave teaching and go into copywriting and like just online business? Like what was I'm guessing you hated your job at some point, like I did, but like, what was it that marketing was like, I'm going to go this way?
Well, marketing, like, there's no barrier to entry, which is why so many people do it, and like that's good and it's good and it's bad, right? Because like, like to start an e-commerce store, for instance, like you need capital, inventory, you need like there's a lot of barriers to entry. So there's still a lot of people do it, but not as many people find success because of so many barriers to entry. With marketing, it's like you could start sending cold emails and doing outreach and get a client, and you're in business with free tools, which is awesome. So for me, I was like, well, I guess there's like some survivorship bias. Like I'm not gonna, like a lot of people did, but like I feel like I was really good at writing. I felt like I kind of understood this stuff. Like I was always very like analyzing people. like semi-autistically, like by myself, like just thinking through like, just like, why do people do this weird shit? Like it was just always part of my personality. So I feel like I just kind of had a bit of like call it like a genetic predisposition. And like, people have gifts. Like some people, like in wrestling, for instance, right? Like there were some guys who like, they would practice, but like they didn't need to bust their ass the way I busted my ass. And they'd step on the mat and they would just toss people. Like they had it. They just gifted,
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a gene. It's just a combination of whatever factors. Like for me, I feel like that's writing. Like when I write, I pump out copy fast. I could pump out a higher volume of copy. I could hit it on the first try. And like, not everyone can do that. Right. So for me, I think it was kind of the marriage of like my own unique set of skills and abilities with the vehicle, which was copy. And I said, all I gotta do is fucking write words. You know what I mean? I just gotta write words. I can write words all goddamn day, and that's all I do, right? So, like, I can handle the work. I have the work capacity. I have the drive. I have the natural inclination for it. And then it was just a matter of like, okay, well, how do you get clients? How do you write this type of thing? How do you write that type of thing? How do you write for this kind of product? So, like, a lot of it is just figuring, getting halfway there and then figuring out the rest as you go.
Did you ever think, what was your Business Insider headline? It was like 900 and what was the number for the revenue?
974.
Yeah.
I think we rounded it off.
Did you ever think you were going to have a business that basically got to 7 figures like that when you started?
When I started, I don't know about when I started. As the years went on, I thought I could, but like day one, I don't know. Like day one, I was just like, I bet I can make as much or maybe double as what. Again, teaching, I always think my second teaching job, I made like 52 grand the first year, 54 grand the second year.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's not a huge bar to jump over, So like if I can make 100, cool. If I can make 120, 150, if I can make 200 grand. Honestly, I think there was probably a point like in the early years when I was like, if I could make like 300 grand, that would be like incredible,
Yeah.
And it is. I'm not going to brush that off. It's not
a
small feat, But what happened, you know how it is. It's like you hit a goal and then all of a sudden, like by the time you have developed enough as a person and as a business owner to achieve the goal that you set out for, you've already developed past the point of being excited about that goal. Yeah. So like, you know how it is, like the goalpost always moves. And like you get to the point where like you're just numb. You just numbers on paper after a while, like, but in a good way, kind of, and you look, you're like, oh shit, okay, it's like, oh damn, we only made like 50K this month. Like this is not good. Right. Like we need to get this shit up, right? And like back in the day, it's like I remember the first full year of copywriting, I made 50 something thousand from the copy biz when I was still teaching for half the year. I think that year I made that year I made 100. I made 99,564. I missed it by like $400 or something, which absolutely just fucking killed me. But
yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I was like, and then because it was actually 5 years after that when I hit 996 top line. That was 2022. Yeah. And I was like, God damn it. Now I was 400 away that 5 years ago, and now I'm 4,000 away. And so
I couldn't like sell one more thing.
Yeah, dude, I was like, it was New Year's Eve, and I was like, just kicking myself. I was like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah. Did you when that story came out? Because that's always cool when you get like a feature like that, and I felt like that was a good one. Did you come up with the headline for that one, or did the writer?
I kind of like pitched the hook,
Yeah. Okay.
Because I was like, because the thing is, like, I'm looking at Business Insider, right? And like, there's all these people, and they're like, I'm a copywriter. I made like 200K. I'm like, fucking cool, like, okay, I did 5x that. Like, where's my story? You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah. I'm like, I was actually talking to the reporter who did it. I was actually working. It was through Harrow. We were working on another piece, and they kind of like shifted the pitch, like they shifted the story, and then finally they're like, actually, we like you better for this piece, because I gave that context about how my business is doing. They're like, actually, we'd like to just focus on this instead of publishing you for the other piece that you were initially going for. And the other piece was something about like email lists. I don't remember the exact, but it was slightly different. So then I gave them all the info. I had to send them my P&L. I had to verify all the income, like all those things, just so like, they wanted to check those sources. So I gave them all the stuff and said, here you go, I'll share screenshots, blah, 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 everything they need to see. And they're like, okay, cool. And it was big. I mean, I had people texting me who I haven't heard from years. They're like, I saw you on Google News. I'm like, whoa, syndication, look at that. Like, we're all over, It's funny. But
was there any negative stuff that came from that? Like, was it weird? Did anybody get weird?
Not really. I definitely get a lot more cold pitches now because people are like, oh, this guy's, his business making money. Like maybe I can work for him. He can hire me, which I'm always flattered by, but like, it's tough. Like with cold pitches, it's like, if you were that good, I'd probably be reaching out to you, not you reaching out to me. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I meant more like family and friends. Like, did anybody treat you any different? Did they go like, oh shit, I didn't know Chris was making that kind of money?
Um, no, I mean, like people, like I don't know, I don't think so, really, to be honest with you. A lot of my friends, like they make a decent amount of money too, so it's like not, and most of my friends are like other entrepreneurs, so it's kind of like cool, like they're, like I find that like with the entrepreneurial friends, it's very much like they'll give you the high fives and the back slaps, but like I don't really,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe people say things behind your back, but like I don't know, they probably do, but like I don't really give a shit, like I'm just out here doing my thing, and like a lot of people actually like some people who I knew like when I was a teacher, they were like, wow, like this really inspiring that you did that, so like that was cool. But yeah, I didn't have, I don't know if it's enough money to where people get like resentful. Like I think if it was like 9,970,000, then people might be like, oh fuck this guy, which is
Yeah.
why, like, when I do hit that point, there's not going to be any Business Insider article. No one's going to know. I'm just going to be like, oh, yeah, just ho hum, just doing my little online business. Like, don't worry about
Yeah.
me, you know?
Yeah. No, I had some weirdness with like friends for sure. Like, because I don't remember. There was many years ago, like 2016, I think. My first like CNBC thing was like student loans. Like I paid off my student loans, and everybody's like, yeah, that's freaking awesome. I want to do that. That's great. And then the next one was probably the Facebook side hustle launch. And that one was like, things got a little awkward after that because it's just, I don't know. It's not that's not an amount of money. I think we did 140K in that first weekend, somewhere right around there. Like I never even had seen money like that before. So like, I think for a lot of people, it's probably kind of weird. It's gotten better in the years since though, because I think people have just gotten used to like, whenever I work online. But I was just kind of curious about that because I think about teachers a lot, and especially teachers that have seen what I've done, and I'm sure you've had a lot of teachers that have seen what you've done over the years. Like I have people reach out to me pretty often that want to quit teaching, and they're just like, I'm so tired of this. I want to do something else. I want to be on my own. Like, have you ever helped a teacher quit their job before?
Yeah. I mean, through like some of my coaching students, definitely. Not like anyone like personally that I knew, like who I used to like at my old job or anything like that. But I would. I mean, it's leaving the job thing's tough. Like I was always like so very like, even like with people I coach who like they're like, all right, I think I'm gonna leave. Like, how do I do this? Like I'd give them advice, but I'd be like, you got to do this when you're ready. Like I'm not gonna be the guy to tell you like cut it now because it's a big decision, And like a lot of people
so
online, they're very glib. They're very glib. They're very like, oh, dude, just quit your job. I'm like, yo, when you got kids, when you got a mortgage, that shit's scary. You know what I mean? Like it's not something. Do it when you're ready, but like make sure you're ready. Like you better like cash flow, lead flow on point, both of them on lock. Like if you have that, good. If you have your systems in place, good. If you don't have that shit, I mean, yeah, there's always stories about like, yeah, I just quit. I didn't have a plan. I made it work, but there's 1,000 other people who did that too, and they're fucked, and they had to go back and work for DoorDash, or they had to go work for, not that that's bad. Those people probably make a lot. They make a lot of money. We DoorDash all the time, so at my house they get paid
yeah,
pretty
my house
well.
we're DoorDashing too. No, but you're right though. Because that's how I did it. I had no idea what I was doing. I just like bailed from the job, and I just had this like stupid belief that I would just like make it for some reason. But then I got into it. I was like, oh my God, I've actually got to start a real business. I've got to start doing marketing. Like I have to figure out how to do this pretty quickly. But I also didn't have a kid, and I didn't have a mortgage. Like we were renting a room from my in-laws. Like it was the easiest possible scenario. But so you said lead flow, cash flow. Wait, what did you say? Lead flow, cash flow, right?
Lead
Get
flow,
that on point.
cash flow. Like, you have those two things and you're good because it's like, if you have a day job, you don't need the cash from your business. So you can just let it pile up or you could reinvest it, which is awesome. Like I remember, man, when I had my teaching job, it was like my bills were covered. And then all the copywriting, that's why I leapfrogged so many people, because I just kept reinvesting money from the business because I didn't need to live off of it.
Were you doing both at the same time? Like you were doing copywriting and then like you jumped to that?
Yeah, because I started teaching in 2013. I like almost immediately, like probably that first week, I was like, "Oh, this sucks. Let me go start an online business." And
so
I
you're
didn't really
smart.
make any. Yeah, I didn't really make any money till like 2015 was the first year when I started actually making money.
Yeah.
So again, that's was a year and a half of just trying shit,
Yeah.
but it
Did
was
you ever
fun.
work for free for people? Like, did you ever do pro bono stuff?
Yeah, I did. I was, John Carlton, he called this like the shameless whore face. I was doing free shit. I was like, yo, I will write you a long form sales page for $200. Like, I didn't care, because
Yeah.
like, again, in the beginning, it's not about, it's like a startup, right? Like a typical
Mm-hmm.
startup. Like you look at like these VC backed companies and like they don't make money for a long time. They have
Right.
an app, they have a software, they're just getting users. And once they have the users, then they monetize the user base. So I looked at that and I'm like, okay, well, I'm a startup, right? Like I just need clients. I just need a lot of clients. I need clients. And I say, okay, if the average client comes to me for 2 projects a year, and the projects will be worth X, how many clients do I need? And it's weird because the math actually kind of like checked out. And I just knew like, okay, if I get 1.3 calls a week, I'm good because I know I'll probably close half of them, and
Yeah.
that will give me enough revenue because of what I was closing per deal to be able to make like 10,000 a month. So like I just really spliced that like that, and I even did this with referral partners. I said, how many referral partners do I need? If each referral partner gives me 2 people over the course of the year, then I need like 40 of them or something to generate enough in order to get business from referral. So I just like calculate all this shit out. I said, okay, now we just got to go get these people. So but again, like this is very much like you look at like the midwit bell curve. Like I'm the dumb guy with like the 60 IQ, and I'm like, okay, how many people do we need? Where do we get them? Like, let's go get them. Let's go talk to them. Here's the offer. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's just so interesting, man. Like the early, I feel like the early days of business, because I think I did some free work. And that's one of the things like in our courses all the time, like we're starting to develop this thing where we're just teaching people how to do pro bono work. Cause I think like one of the big roadblocks we've found with students that come in, it's like they want to do free work. And then we've always told them like, no, don't do that. Just start charging right away. And I think there's this like gap of like confidence, And so we're just teaching them how to do it the right way. But like, I just think that there is something to doing free stuff, and like business does suck when you first start. I don't know if you felt that way. It was so stressful and so scary all the time. And I was just always terrified that I would like every single month. I remember I'd get to the end of the month, it was like 30th, 31st. And then the next day would start. And I was like, oh my God, are we going to make it this month? Is it going to work this time? What if I go out of business this month? You're shaking your head. Did you have similar stuff?
Yeah, every month. I mean, 10 years in, you still feel that way. Like, right now, I'm like, is this all going to go away next month? But the thing is, like, after enough months, I think probably like 2018, I had this realization because it was at least a year after I left the day job, and I was like, okay, well, is this objectively true? Like, let's look at the last 12 months. Income has gone up every month, right? So like, is it really magically going to go all the way next month? And even if it did, like, would it go away for 2 months in a row? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so you start like, and then you get to the point where you're like, okay, over the last 48 months, income has been good, right? So it's like, okay, and then there's always other factors in terms of like what you're selling, what your offers are, those kind of things. Like those will change in time, and so the business evolves. But if you know how to sell and you know how to find
Mm.
problems, it's like on like God forbid everything went away, like I could start a local business. There, if I had like, okay, I could get a power washer and start power washing house. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I could know how to sell, I could put together an offer, I could hire someone. Like I know essential business skills. Like I don't want to do that, but let's say the internet disappeared, like what would I do? Like I'd spin something else up, and like that's when you're a real entrepreneur. And it's very hard, but again, like it's just it's never going to be a straight line. And people I think have seen that, especially the last 2 years of the economy and everything. um it's not just up and up and up. It felt like that, right? Like from 2013
Yeah,
to
dude.
like 2019, 2020, it was very up and up and up and up and up, and then all of a sudden it takes a turn for the worse, right? That happens. Like you're not going to go through your life without experiencing that multiple times. So what's going to happen when the shit hits the fan? What are you going to do about it?
Yeah. Dude, yeah, even now, like I was telling the team, I hate, sounds shitty, but I hate Christmas time because it's like this is the slowest time of year for the business. Everything like, we're a website, so we get, traffic and all that stuff. Everything slows down, sales slow down. The companies that we work with and partner with, like they're off. And I just sit here and I just like go, God, I want to fast forward through this and get to January because January is money making time. And I guess it kind of sucks on one hand because like I wish I could just like sit back and just enjoy Christmas, and like in the time of the year, but I really can't. Like, are you able to just like chill at all?
I am this year, and part of it is like, so two things. Number one, have you read Clockwork by Michael
No.
Cowlitz?
Do I
That's a
need
great
to?
book. I think you do. I think everyone does. Well,
Okay.
if you're new, you're going to read it, but it's going to go completely over your head. Like you could read it, but
Okay.
I mean, Bobby, you would get value from it. I
Cool.
read it. I'm actually going through coaching with Adrian Dorson, starting who's Mike's partner in Run Like Clockwork. I'm starting in January with her. But the whole concept of that book is like, how do you get your business to a point where you take a 28-day completely unplugged vacation? And it's not that you need a vacation from the business needs a vacation from you. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, I need that. And like this whole year has really been a big like transition for me, because I was like, everything in my business runs through me because I am the business. And I was like, that's not good. Like, it's cool when you start there's many phases, and like people listening to this, depending on where you're at, like it's okay to start with a personal brand, have everything run through you, but you will eventually hit a ceiling, and it could be a high ceiling. Like I always tell writers, I'm like, you could cross the chasm and really get to the next level, but like if you're making 250K a year top line and you're taking home 70% of that, you got a good life. Like you don't have to fuck your life up and try to scale. Like you could just do that and stack cash and like invest in other things. But some people do. Some people are stupid like me, and we want to scale, right?
Yeah.
But like that's where like Clockwork is especially important, because it's like, if you have the right people in the right seats, I know like you have a bigger team than me and everything, but it's part of the process of like, how do you remove yourself so that you're only doing the shit that you want to do when you want to do it, and everything else just happens. And like for me, that's why I was like, not like like the newsletter, I write the newsletter. Emails, I write the emails. And not only like it's awesome, and I get I'm so flattered when people like my stuff, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, like right now I'm stressing because the newsletter's done. I got to wrap it up before Friday because next week I want to be off, right? And it's very stressful. And every month I got this stress, right? But I'm like, okay, so now I just need to develop new offers that don't require me for delivery, and eventually will take me out of the sales piece. So like that's the next phase. And McCowitz has his other book. He has Fix This Next. And he has this like, it's almost like a Maslow's hierarchy of needs for business. And he talks about like, like if like for me, I was like, why the fuck am I so stressed? Oh, because if I don't put my ass in the seat and write an email every day, money doesn't come in. So I got to put my ass in the seat and make money come in. How do I get the business to where money comes in, whether I put my ass in the seat or not? So I'm like, let's start doing some more ads. Let's develop some funnels. Let's have actual productized offers. Let's get people to deliver on those things, right? So again, it's like it is painful, especially this time of year, because like you want to take off, and unplugging is the best thing that you could do because it's going to lead to the bigger breakthroughs, but it is stressful and sometimes a little bit frustrating because guys like us, we just want to go, right?
Yeah.
But I will say this, I'm kind of at the point too where I'm like, fuck it, if the income dips down, whatever, because I know the thing I'm building now is going to be 10 times, 100 times bigger than what I have right now. So I'm like, okay, fine. If I miss out on an extra 5-10 grand that I could have had in the business, you know what? It sucks, but I'll just go get it next month.
So what are you, like you said you're building something bigger. Actually, wait, who did you say you're doing coaching with? What was the name?
Adrian Dorson.
Adrian Dorson. Okay. And so you've got this 100-year business thing that you're doing. Like what is the goal with that? Like, are you trying to scale to, some number, or like what lifestyle? Like what's the,
I mean, a number, I don't know. It's hard to say, again, because the goalposts always move. I look at it like in terms of like profit and like, can I own the business and not have to be the business? Like those are the big things I'm looking for. Like I'd love to, like, honestly, like if I just earned $1 million a year in bottom line profit, I don't need much, like I'm cool. I'm sure once I get there, I'm going to want more, but like, I know like all my needs are met, beyond met, in terms of like, retirement accounts funded, savings funded, house that we want. I'm not a big car guy. I don't really give a shit. I have my Jeep Grand Cherokee that I love,
Yeah.
I'm not a watch guy either. I know people like watches. I don't wear watches. I don't know. They bother me. I don't have many needs. I just like, I don't know. I don't know what I like. Everyone's like, what are your hobbies? I'm like, I don't fucking know. Lifting weights, eating
Twitter.
copious amounts of meat, and Twitter shit posting. Exactly. Yeah.
I'm going to talk to you about Twitter in a little bit, but yeah, but go on.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's, what I want to do with it is just have something where like we could launch cool brands. Like, you move from this point where it's like you do stuff because you need the money. And like once the money's coming in, you obviously still need the money, right? But then your focus starts to shift. It's like, well, what do I want to build? If you could build anything, like what would you build? If you didn't have to worry about money, what would you build? And like you start to enter into that like mental space. And that's when things get really interesting, because I'm like, well, I really want to build some long-term like brands with really cool products. I look at like Carnivore Snacks. I've been working with them for 4 years now. I started working with them before they ever made the first dollar. And I'm like, I hope that brand lasts for 100 years. It's an awesome product. They have an awesome mission. And I just love seeing that. Like, how cool would it be to help build these businesses that are going to live for a century or 2 centuries? Like, build the next Brooks Brothers, build the next, Ford Motor Company, like build the next, like, big, all these brands, they start with one person making one product, and like, so there's brands right now that are starting that 100 years from now will still be around. So it's like, how do I support them? How do I build services and things that help them accelerate? Because a lot of these people aren't marketers, they're product people, and they need the marketing piece. I'm like, how do I fill that need for them? So I don't necessarily have it all figured out. I mean, I have, a coaching program for people, and I have a few members in there, and starting to roll out some services for some bigger brands too. So what will it look like? I don't know exactly. I mean, it could even be something where eventually we get big enough, we start buying brands and have a portfolio of brands that we own or own a stake in. Like, I don't know, the future is kind of undecided, but I'm just kind of like ebbing and flowing my way through it.
Okay. No, that makes sense. I want to talk about your Twitter now. I was going to wait till later.
Okay.
Talk to me about, okay. For anybody that is listening to this, what's your handle on Twitter?
At Chris Orzi.
Okay. Please go follow it. Dude, I've had people email and say, like, oh God, I can't remember what product it was. It's like, we were putting out a product. It might've been a copywriting product at LE. And it was like, if Chris Orzakowski is involved, I don't want anything to do with it. And I thought it was hilarious. Cause like you have managed to, in the like online entrepreneurship space, I feel like you've managed to piss off people with your Twitter account. But it's so funny though. So like, what, can you just explain what you do on Twitter for people that maybe have not seen it?
Yeah, I just do a lot of shit posting. I mean, I just like making jokes and saying funny stuff and practicing my stand-up routine, And so I, like with my book launch, I photoshopped my book onto a lot of celebrities like Oprah. I pretended to be in Oprah's book club and, had Kim Kardashian reading a copy, and I did the worst Photoshop job you've ever seen. But I was having so much fun because what happens is, like, when I'm rocking my youngest to sleep, it's like I have anywhere from 15 minutes to 45 minutes where, like, I'm just okay. I got my phone. He's asleep. I want to make sure he's down. So I'll just go and mess around on Twitter. I'll make jokes. I'll reply stupid things to people's serious tweets and post a lot of Sopranos memes. And I think that, like, and now I really want to know who that person is. Why they said that.
I'll have to look through the emails. It was, I can't remember. It was just I think it was actually a Millennial Money Man reader. And I was sitting there and thinking, like, if they actually knew you, you know what I mean? Like, if they actually like talked like this with you, like, they wouldn't feel the same way. But I guess it's just something about you just ruffled their feathers on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, like, I'll post some Trump stuff, because he's a great character. He's an amazing character, the best, and like, people don't like that because they got the Trump derangement syndrome and everything. But I'm not like super political on there. I just kind of like to talk shit about a lot of things and make some jokes. And, like the other day I replied back to Nick Huber, Sweaty Startup, that guy. He was saying something about, like, best ways to increase property values for real estate. So I posted a picture of the pit from Silence of the Lambs, Buffalo Bob's pit. And I said, add in a basement pit, because what it does is it increases the square footage, so much room for activities. And like, listed this whole thing. I think that reply got like 25,000 impressions. It was funny as hell, but like, that's what I'll do. I'll just like find opportunities to, like, just completely, I don't know, make jokes and make stupid remarks, and people find it funny, I don't know. But I think with social media, it's like, what I could do is I could go on there and be like everyone else and be like, oh, here's 5 email subject line tips. But like, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Like, honestly, right. You're not going to pay attention to it. Is it going to be the best piece of content on that topic you've ever heard in your life? Probably not. There's always something better, right? And like, are you even going to use it? Probably not, right? Because you didn't pay for it. So if you didn't pay for it, you're not going to use it. It's just the way it is. Like, there's very little actual solid advice that you're going to take action on unless you swipe your credit card, because that's just the way people work. You have no skin in the game, So like, I could just do value bombs all day, but then I'm going to look like every other. There's 10,000 Nigerian copywriters on there who are doing the same thing. There's 100,000 copywriters from Vietnam who are going on and doing the same thing every day. So like, I'm just going to look like all of them. Like, no, I want to look different. And people who like my stuff be like, hey, I like the cut of your jib. I want to work with you. Like, you have the same beliefs as me. You have the same sense of humor as me. You have the same whatever. So like, that's what I do. And I just act like myself and have a lot of fun.
I feel like you made an intentional decision to do that at some point? Because I remember when I first started seeing you tweet, and Mike and I were talking about it. Mike from Laptop Empires, we were talking about it, and we were like, this dude's going to get canceled. Like, because I feel like it was right around the time, it was like right after the pandemic or during the pandemic, where basically like everybody that kind of stepped out of line one way or the other just got axed. And I was like, somebody's going to crush him. Like, people are going to hate this. But I feel like you made a choice to just say, like, I'm going to just do whatever I want. Like, was that intentional?
I'm like the Forrest Gump of like the marketing world, right? I'm just gonna keep on running. Like I don't know what direction I'm going in, but I'm running. I'm just sprinting. I'm going. I'm moving, and I'm not looking around waiting to see what happens. So I don't know. Like again, I mean, I don't really think I said anything that bad. I mean, maybe I said the messed up
No,
filter.
I don't think you didn't say anything bad, but I think it was like, I felt like you were just being yourself, like you said earlier, like just saying, not filtering anything. Like I feel like, I don't think you were coming out and saying, I mean, I've seen like some political stuff, but I don't think that matters at all. Like I've just seen you just say like, I'm going to do what I want and I'm going to say whatever I want. I'm going to make whatever joke I want. And I don't give a shit if anybody says anything about it, which I think was kind of hard to do for a lot of people like 3 years ago, or 2 years ago. I don't think people would have done that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, well, like with the pandemic, there was a lot of stuff that was getting like on every platform. It was like, God forbid you mentioned the word vaccine or you mentioned the word even COVID at the beginning. There was like, if you were talking about it, they were like flagging certain things, and like it was just like, I don't know, that whole thing was weird. Like with all the social media stuff, it was really eye opening to see how lockstep everything became, and kind of
Yeah.
dystopian and scary. But I don't know, like. I think what happens is you get to the point too where like I've had so many clients, and like I've had clients I enjoy working with and clients that I don't, and like I don't want, like, if someone has like a vegan dog food startup, like I don't want them contacting me. You know what I mean? I'm sure they're
Right.
nice people, many fine people on both sides, right? Many such cases, but I don't want to work with them. And there's nothing against them. If you have a vegan dog food startup, nothing personally against you. You could be a lovely person, but you're just not my person. I sell meat.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So like, it's not going to work. So like, why would I try to be for everyone if I'm not? You know? And there's more than enough people who have the same values and same thoughts and ideas as me. I mean, maybe I'm a little bit crazier than some other people, fine, but like, you also have to stand out a little bit too. Like if you're vanilla,
Yeah.
no one's gonna be interested. Like people have to know what you're all about to a certain extent. It doesn't mean start going crazy and start posting these crazy batshit QAnon conspiracy bullshit. Like don't do that stuff. Definitely don't do that. But like, you know, there's definitely like, it's okay to like be yourself, because when you're yourself, you'll attract people to you who think like you and who you probably want to be around, right? Like you don't want to be hiding who you are, working with all these people who you don't enjoy being with, because that's the ticket to have an unhappy life.
You've worked with some bigger companies. I don't know if I'm allowed to list the companies that you've worked with or not, but I know that you've worked with some bigger companies. Like, do you have any of them ever told you like what to say or not say or anything like that?
On like social, no, I just do whatever I want. And like that's the thing too. Like I'm like, hey, if you're gonna tell me what I can or can't say, first of all, I'm a contractor, so you can't do that. Second of all, if you have a problem, I'll just go to the next client. Like,
Yeah.
oh well, and it's not, I'm not trying to be a dick, but it's like, this is the truth. It's supply and demand. There's one me, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of you. And if you want me, I'm gonna do what I want to do. Like I'm not, when you're on my side, I'll fight, like, Perennial Pastures, Carnivore Snacks, all these brands that I've worked with, like I'm promoting the hell out of them. I'm going above and beyond. Like maybe I do it in a funny way or make some jokes that some people might find uncouth, right? But I'm on your side. Like we're in the foxhole together, So I don't know. Some people are cool with that and some people aren't. But like I said, there's 18,000 businesses being formed every single day. Just like buses. One leaves, next one's coming in a few minutes.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Tell me about Carnivore Snacks a little bit, because that's the one out of all the ones that you've been doing. I've been following that one the most, and I want to buy some, but I'm like, man, it's kind of expensive. But then I'm also like, I need more protein and stuff, so I'm like, maybe it's probably worth it. Like, what are you doing with them?
So I'm doing a lot of email and SMS with them. Occasionally some other stuff. I did the headline. They had a All-Star MLB All-Star game ad. I did the headline for that. I'll do some postcard stuff every now and again. I've done so much of their copy over the years. Not all of it, obviously. They have a lot of copy, but product descriptions. I've done a lot of stuff for them. I really like created the voice behind the brand, which honestly, like I can't I can't even describe what the voice is. It's a little batch. It's a little batshit crazy. There's definitely a little Chris Orzakowski thumbprint in it.
There's that. Yeah, it's got that.
Yeah, a little bit of an edge, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I did their Kickstarter launch to help them when they first started, and we did like 200K in 30 days, which is cool. And then the fact that you haven't tried, like you're having these thoughts is so funny. Like once you try it, you're going to be addicted.
I'm gonna be hooked. Yeah.
They are, I'm telling you, like you've never had anything like it. They really are. Like you think about like brands that have a moat, their product is the moat. Like there's been knockoff competitors. It doesn't come close. Like they're just so good. Like the brisket, get the brisket.
Okay.
The
I'm gonna
brisket,
order. I'll do it. You talk me into it.
you will not, like you can't close the bag. Like you will not be like, you'll take a piece and you'll be like, I needed the piece. And then 5 ounces, because 5 ounces, it's actually a lot of meat. Like you look at it and you're like, wow, like $30 or whatever it is for like a 5 ounce bag, but it is filling as shit. So like if you can control yourself, which most people can't, you probably pull through the whole bag. But if you can control yourself, it is filling. Like you'll have 1 or 2 of those, pieces, and you'll be like, wow, like my stomach is actually full, even though I had an ounce of this product.
Yeah.
It's just the brisket's phenomenal. Pork loin's good. The ribeye is good. The New York strip is good. They're really all solid. There's not too many that I don't like. They're really all good, but the brisket is definitely like I would lick the bag. Like it's I would chew through the foil. Like I'm telling you, it's otherworldly. I cannot recommend the brisket enough.
What do they do? Like, what is it that makes their stuff so good? Like, what are they doing to it?
I don't know exactly. I mean, there's no additives, or it's just like the process that they use. It's like they
Is it like
kind of
jerky?
dehydrate it. It's not chewy like jerky. It's like a meat potato chip, and it's like the fat. It's still got the fat on it, and it has like this like it like kind of melts in your mouth a little bit. I don't know how they do it over there, but whatever they're doing, it's working.
Okay. Yeah. And then perennial pastures, you're talking about buying like a half a cow and stuff, right? Is that what you do with them?
Yeah, I was working with them for 8 months. Not working with them anymore, but we grew them like 5x within those 8 months, and
Yeah.
selling cow shares, subscription boxes, bulk beef boxes, turkeys, chickens, the whole 9 yards. I mean, that was a cool brand. They're badass. They have excellent meats, but it was so much fun selling, $6,000 cow shares. It's like when you think about e-com,
Whoa.
everyone's like, my average order value is $50. I'm like, sold 6K worth of beef. Like, let's go. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, with them, it's essentially like, it's just taking like a good product and saying like, okay, how do we scale this, right? So we got ads set up, did direct mail, started doing more email. Haven't even done the SMS yet, but that's another lever that we could eventually pull. But it's not necessarily hard. It's just like, are you executing? And like a lot of these brands, they just don't execute because again, they like running cattle ranch or any other kind of business. Like you're doing fulfillment, you're doing the management, you're doing all these other things, operation side of things, which is a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. So like the marketing sometimes gets pushed to the back burner, not by choice, just because it's like priorities, right? So when you can come in and apply really solid fundamental marketing to a good brand, it can blow up. Like if they have good products, good unique products with a story.
Is that the kind of thing that you're talking about in your book, The Moat?
Yeah. That's my system. MOAT, mission, offers, acquisition, traction. That's what the MOAT stands for. And like you just follow the steps and your business grows. And the reason I created it, because I was like, okay, if I'm working for all these different types of brands, I got to have a universal system that I could plug into each one that just works, right? Conveyor belt. Every business is a manufacturer of an outcome, or at least it should be if it's going to be successful, right? So it's like, what is your Henry Ford conveyor belt? What does it look like, right? So I said, okay, well, we have the moat. That is the conveyor belt, right? Like, do we have the mission? Are we clear on the marketing angles, the unique X factor, who we're serving, what we're helping them with, all, the story behind the brand? Are we clear with all of those things? Cool. What are the offers? What's on the front end? What's on the back end, right? What do those look like? How do we boost the average order value of those things so that we can go to the next step, which is acquisition, which we use advertising for, sometimes influencers. We try to buy customers at a profit and do that in a scalable way. And traction is how do we monetize the customers we've already acquired, right? So if we just do those 4 things, businesses work, right? I like making things very simple. Again, mid-whip bell curve, 60 IQ, right? How do we break it down to where you don't, because there's so much marketing shit. There's this software, there's this method, there's this course, there's this YouTube channel, there's this book. But like at the end of the day, are you doing those 4 things? Like, are you taking people through your process? Do you have a system to acquire customers and a system to monetize the customers that you've already acquired, right? Like, forget everything else. Like, if you're not doing that, should I be on TikTok? Should I be on YouTube? I don't fucking know. Like, do you have these basics in place? Then we can, like, let's get the basics down. When I was a wrestler, one of my coaches told me, he said, if you want to be a state champion, you need 4 moves. You need 2 takedowns. One is your bread and butter takedown. And then if that one doesn't work, you got to have a backup. You need 1 move on bottom to escape, and then 1 move on top to score back points. And if you could hit those 4 moves on anyone, you will win every single match. You'll be a state champion. And he's like, you don't need 10,000 moves, right? You just need 4. And I was like, oh, 4 is a good number. So there we go.
There it is, the moat. Okay, I have 2 more rapid fire questions for you because I know you got to get going soon. One, Ariel. So I asked the team before I came on for this one. I was like, all right, what questions do you want me to ask Chris? And she said, have you seen the new season of Fargo?
No, I haven't watched that show. I watched the movie years ago. I don't know if it's somewhat connected, but I have not seen it. Is John Hamm in it?
I have no idea. She was just like, I think he's going to like this movie. I was like, okay, whatever. I'll ask him. She said that the 2 of you have like a connection over Mad Men somehow. Yeah, she's a big fan. She said you love that. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Chris Orsi. You can go to my website, 100yearbrand.co. If you're an email copywriter, an aspiring email copywriter, you can go to theemailcopywriter.com. There's a lot of good content and blogs and resources that no one ever looks at, which makes me sad because I was like, how do I learn how to do it? I'm like, have you read my blog? I have like 100 articles there. No, but whatever. I don't have it optimized like you, so I got, but whatever. But yeah, you'll get onto my email list. I send, some interesting things sometimes. Sometimes I sell stuff. Sometimes I make some funny jokes that will offend approximately 48% of the population. And yeah.
It's top tier, man. Yeah, get on the email list. Please follow him on Twitter because I don't know. I legitimately have no idea what you're talking about most of the time. I had to ask my team, like, what does anon mean? Like, why does Chris keep saying anon on all these things?
Well, so like that's just an anonymous account, and like there's this whole like culture of like anonymous accounts where like maybe people have a job but they want to like be themselves online, but they don't want to connect to their personal identity, so they'll start this anonymous account. And they'll be like known for something. With Twitter, it's almost like they're like mini blogs almost. The way that a lot of the accounts work. Like there's this one really good one, Old Hollow Tree, and it's this guy. He's awesome. I don't know his name. I've talked to him a few times. But he just posts about like right now he's just posting about like Christmas cheer in the season. It's just like this wholesome account where he's talking about like Christmas traditions and like all the the history and like taking pictures of his farm, and it's like in Halloween they were like making pumpkins. I'm like, this is freaking great. Like I look at it, just warms the cockles of your heart, and I look at his shit every day. But that's like one like little mini blog, and there's other accounts that are like architecture accounts that have like cool Art Deco buildings, right? That's why I love Twitter. So like sometimes these will be anonymous. Sometimes there's like there's different like communities where people have their own language and shit. So like I just love mixing up in there. Like there's DTC Twitter where you got all like the brand owners and the agencies and the software companies, and they're all like jacking each other off saying like, oh, we're so great, blah, 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 right? And then there's like, the dissident right wing Twitter, and there's like the esoteric health people, and you got people like drinking jars of their own piss. It's a wild place over there. Like it's very wild, very wild. It's like being in the Amazon rainforest over there. It's like many different creatures. It's very interesting. So I love it over there.
Okay. All right, man. Well, that makes a little more sense. Thanks for coming on. You are winning the prize for sure on the award for most editing that my editors are going to have to do on this podcast.
Most likely. Apologies for that.
I don't care. It's funny. All right, dude. Cool. Thanks for coming on. Later. Have a good meeting, whatever you're doing next.
All right. Thanks so much, man. Talk to you soon.